Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Johnny Consciousness. I'm John Moore, your host. Today I'm taking a different tact. For the last year and a half or so, I've been experimenting with psychic skills, tarot, etc. But my name has always been, YouTube name has always been Johnny Consciousness. So I'm going to, over the next few videos, just go over a book which fascinated me and really helped me out about consciousness, and it's called UAPs and the Afterlife. It's written by a gentleman named Christopher Nöel, and he holds a master's degree in philosophy. He's the author of at least 12 books, including 5 of them on Bigfoot. I guess this man has had some experience with Bigfoot. So, any of you that are interested in that, if you want me to review that book or go over it, let me know. I've not yet read any of those because Bigfoot has never been a big interest of mine. But I know a lot of people find that fascinating, and I do. But I don't know if it's fascinating enough for me to get a book about it. Uh, Now, this book I'm going to be talking about is called, like I just showed you, UAPs and the Afterlife. How new discoveries support centuries of psychic and spiritual research. That's the subtitle. Um, Now, from his introduction in the book, entitled The Purpose of This Book, I'm just going to quote him or some of this right here. Quote, "My aim is not to prove anything to you. I'm concerned with how such things exist." And I think he's talking about consciousness, orbs, ghosts, spirits, all that kind of stuff. I'm not joining the debate over whether they exist. Now, this is, from what I've gathered in the book, this is his view. Consciousness itself transcends the brain. In other words, a lot of scientists think our consciousness is only in the brain, and of course, when we die, that means we're not conscious, we're not there, we are dead, dead. But his book, which I tend to agree with, is that consciousness does survive death. And he goes on to say in his book, our consciousness or spirit is part of a consciousness field that with the bodily death comes the return of our individualized consciousness to our source, our home, the one. Some people call it God, but I think that word is loaded because God means a lot of different things to different people. But I think what he's saying here is the source of all consciousness, the source of all creation. So that's the working definition we have of God here. I prefer spirit or source myself. Um, and he also says in the introduction, departed spirits still exists where we do, but at a higher vibrational frequency. And he'll get into that in the book. I've always heard about psychics talking about raising your vibration, all that stuff. He's going to cover some of this, I believe, in the book. Another thing that he says in the introduction, these spirits can manifest to us. And he speaks of authentic mediums and even affecting the physical world, unquote. If you go back and look at my very first YouTube video, you will see spirits, orbs all around me when I was doing a practice video, when I was just thinking about doing a YouTube channel. And so I definitely agree with this. And then he goes on to conclude in his introduction, the UAP enigma is located with us in the same consciousness field, and that these visitors are intimately akin to us, unquote. And that was the introduction review. Now, another condensation I'm going to do next is chapter 1. And it's entitled, How Are They? Question mark. Phenomenology of the UAP experience. Try saying that 3 times. And this is a quote from the book about phenomenology from Brown University. Phenomenology is a study of immediate experience focusing on how events are experienced or perceived, unquote. And then, and also in the chapter, it says in the first section of chapter 1, Mr. Nöel calls, quote, setting the stage. He goes into the history of UAPs from ancient times until now. In the next section, he covers the 5 observables of UAPs, which I won't detail here. There's lots of information on the 5 observables. I think Lou, I can't think of his last name right now, is the one who came up with that. So, like I said, it does cover the 5 observables there. Then in the third section of chapter 1, he speaks of, quote, shape-shifting tricksters, unquote. Whenever he briefly covers the history of how, quote, UAPs often change form in a matter of seconds, unquote. Personally, I've viewed this myself, and you can check out some of my videos on YouTube with the orbs and such. You can see them not only changing shapes, but also colors. It's very interesting. Now, the most outrageous thing that I've seen of these beings changing shapes is November 15th, 2022, the year all these experiences started happening to me. This was 30 days before Christmas. I went outside my backyard. I kid you not, I have a whole video on it. I have an AI interpretation of it. I saw in the sky a giant white craft shining brightly, shaped in the 8-pointed star of the Star of Bethlehem. And it was rotating. What is that? Counterclock? Yeah, counterclockwise motion. And then the light started peeling away like a banana peel. Just it was like raining light, if you could imagine that. The stars just raining light, dissolving away, and in its place was this gray cylinder that very much looked like a drum, a squat cylinder, and it was rotating the same way the star was. And then it faded away to nothing. So these things do change shapes. That's a mystery to me. I'm very, I feel very blessed that I saw it. But that's that. And then Miss Dr. Nöel concludes the chapter by recommending 2 videos, which he says you can get both on YouTube, and I believe you can, but one of them I think you have to pay for. Number 1 is called The Visitors on TravelChannel.com. And number 2 is called, quote, Experiences, John E. Mack, M.D. on YouTube, and that is on there. And that covers pretty much what was going on chapter 1. Now I'm going to go on to chapter 2. Chapter 2 is entitled, There Is Nothing Else. The Primacy of Fields, the Illusion of Distance. Sorry, guys. I'm not a professional, as you can tell. That's going to be next episode. I will do chapter 2, and it again is called "There Is Nothing Else: The Primacy of Fields, the Illusion of Distance," and that should be intriguing, huh? I also want to say to everyone who celebrates Pride, Happy Pride Month. I am of the community, and I say Happy Pride. Please put a like, a comment, whatever you want to see here. I also have an Instagram page called Johnny Consciousness 101, and a lot of my old videos I put up there. Ask you to check that out when you can. And no one ever comments on my videos unless they're a negative comment. So, except for my friend Linda Bishop, I'm not talking to you. uh, she comments and she gives me good feedback, and that's what I need. And if you don't want to comment on the content, just drop a comment and say where you're from. Like, I'm from Northern California, Vacaville, California, just not a, just almost a stone's throw from Travis Air Force Base, where I was stationed for how long was I stationed there? 8 years, way back when. And I got out and I never left the area. So that's it for now. Always, always try to let your light shine and be kind.